If you've ever had a chance to feast on delicious lobster thermidor, or maybe just a simple lobster bisque, you might have wondered what exactly is this hefty crustacean under the dish. Today, we will tell you all about it. This is the heaviest crustacean in the world, a real giant that easily reaches several kilograms in weight. Do you want to meet it? Then stick around. So first things first, let's look at where this giant crustacean lives and how it came to be the heaviest animal in the world. The American lobster, also known simply as the lobster, belongs to the class of arthropods called Crustacea and the order Decapoda. It's part of a group of about 100 lobster species, all of which are called Nephropody. But don't get confused. There's also the European lobster, the spiny lobster, the slipper lobster, and many others. And these are all completely different species. The American lobster lives along the North Atlantic coast from Nova Scotia down to North Carolina. It's an ectothermic invertebrate with no backbone. Instead, its body is protected by an external rigid shield called an exoskeleton made of chitin and calcium carbonate, which basically acts like permanent armor. If you've ever tried to put on a crab's shell, you know how hard it is. So putting on such armor every morning is a daunting task for the lobster. That's why it molts, shedding the old shell and growing a new one. Molting also helps the lobster grow. Since it cannot grow while inside its shell, each new shell allows it to grow larger until it reaches its maximum size of about 65 centimeters in length. However, a lobster needs a lot of energy to make its new shell, so it usually eats more during this time. And since it becomes vulnerable to predators while molting is quite dangerous for a lobster. Despite its size, the lobster has very poor eyesight. Its eyes are very small and don't see much except when they're right in front of the animal. But the lobster has highly developed senses of touch, taste, and smell, which allow it to feel vibrations from potential prey or predators and to distinguish the taste of seawater, which helps it maintain proper salt levels in its body. In addition, lobsters have the ability to regenerate lost limbs, although this happens only once in their lifetime. Now let's talk about the appearance of this huge animal. The American lobster has a large head fused with the thorax, forming a cephalothorax, which is covered by a carapace. Its most distinctive feature is the set of 8 walking legs and 2 claws. It is one of the few decapod species with 2 claws, although some individuals may have only 1 functional claw, which then grows to be much larger. The second claw is smaller and looks more like a crusher. Despite their names, lobsters use their claws not only for crushing prey, but also for defense and for communicating with each other. In particular, they perform a ritualized display involving the raising and lowering of their claws before mating. The antennae of the American lobster are long and flexible and are used to collect chemical signals from the environment. The abdomen of the lobster is divided into 7 segments and ends in a fan-like telson. Overall, a fully grown lobster can reach 65 centimeters in length and weigh around 20 kilograms. Although there are claims that lobsters can grow up to 1 meter in length, there is no scientific evidence to support these claims. However, there are underwater creatures like the Japanese spider crab that can grow up to 4 meters in leg span. The American lobster is one of hundreds of lobster species that are harvested for commercial purposes. However, it stands out as one of the most valuable crustaceans worldwide, fueling a multi-billion-dollar industry with an annual global catch of about 200,000 tons. The second most famous lobster is the European lobster, Homarus gammarus, which is also well known. Both species inhabit the North Atlantic. The American lobster is one of the largest and heaviest crustaceans in the world, reaching lengths of up to 1 meter and weighing up to 20 kilograms. Despite its imposing size, the lobster has very poor eyesight and relies on its sense of touch, taste, and smell to navigate its environment. Lobsters are scavengers by nature and play a vital role in maintaining a healthy ecosystem by consuming dead animals and other organic matter that sinks to the seafloor. They are also known for their voracious appetite and aggressive nature, preying on mollusks and other crustaceans. Lobsters typically inhabit oceans and seas around the world, including brackish and freshwater environments. They are nocturnal animals, spending their days hiding in burrows or crevices and coming out to hunt at night. The American lobster is a carnivorous bottom-dwelling scavenger. These crustaceans thrive mainly in cold offshore waters of the North Atlantic at depths of up to 2,000 feet. You can also find them in various marine habitats worldwide, including brackish and even freshwater environments. Lobsters are decapod crustaceans closely related to shrimp and crabs. They typically inhabit oceans and seas around the world, preferring the bottom of the water column. As bottom dwellers, lobsters play a vital role in maintaining a healthy ecosystem by consuming dead animals and other organic matter that sinks to the seafloor. This scavenging behavior helps to recycle nutrients and keep the seafloor clean. In general, lobsters are pretty solitary creatures. But sometimes you can spot groups of lobsters gathering around a dead whale or other large carcasses. And of course, lobsters are famous for their voracious appetite and aggressive nature. In the wild, they primarily feed on mollusks and other crustaceans, including the American lobster. The diet consists mainly of fish, mollusks, but sometimes they can snack on seaweed and other plants. They hunt at night, creeping closer to their prey and grabbing it with their giant claws. The American lobster is a broadcast spawner, releasing eggs and sperm into the water for external fertilization. As a crustacean, its reproductive process is similar to that of other lobsters. Female lobsters carry eggs beneath their abdomen for about 1 year before releasing them into the water. The eggs hatch into larvae that live in the water column before settling on the seabed to continue their life cycle. During their larval stage, they drift with ocean currents and feed on plankton. Once they settle down, they begin to resemble miniature versions of adult lobsters and continue to grow and mature. Lobsters usually live in burrows, rock crevices, or among seaweed beds. They are nocturnal, hiding during the day and coming out to hunt at night. They have been observed to be territorial during mating season, chasing away rival males and defending their space from intruders. Females usually lay 100,000 eggs every year, but only a small percentage of them survive. This is because the eggs are easy prey for fish and other sea creatures. Lobsters themselves are eaten by seals, whales, dolphins, and humans. To grow, lobsters must molt, shedding their old shell and growing a new one. This process makes them vulnerable to predators, so molting is risky. Many lobsters die during molting. Those who survive are rewarded with a new, larger shell, which allows them to grow continuously throughout their lives. Lobsters can live over 50 years, which means they have plenty of time to grow. But wait, there's more. If you thought the American lobster was already amazing, just wait until you hear about the Japanese spider crab. Its leg span can reach 4 meters. That's like having 2 giant pincers that could crush a car. Wow. You probably know that lobsters are popular among seafood lovers. But did you know that these crustaceans were not always considered a delicacy? Back in the 17th and 18th centuries, lobsters were so abundant in the northeastern U.S. that fishermen used them as fertilizer for their crops. At one point, a law was even issued banning people from being forced to eat lobster too often. Imagine how tired you'd get of eating the same thing every day. Well, that was the situation in the old days. People didn't know any other way to cook lobsters. They either boiled them or baked them whole without removing the head or legs. Can you imagine? And they ate them only once a week, alternating with salted pork. Hard to believe, but it's true. However, by the 19th and 20th centuries, thanks to major improvements in American infrastructure and transportation, lobsters were shipped to distant cities. Over time, they became a luxury food enjoyed by wealthy Americans. Nowadays, they're considered a delicacy and are served in fancy restaurants around the world. Unfortunately, in the 21st century, lobster populations have seen noticeable declines. Experts blame overfishing driven by the high commercial value of the American lobster industry. Other reasons include environmental pollution and outbreaks of lobster diseases and viruses. This situation threatens not only the lobster population, but also the fishing industry and the economies of coastal communities that depend on lobster harvesting. And that's all we wanted to tell you about today. We hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. All the best. See you soon.